there, welcome to VCode's 100 Days of Coding Challenge. Today is day 6 and let's see the question number 1. So the question is, develop a Java program exemplifying the usage of a final keyword. We need to construct classes representing shape, circle and rectangle with final methods and classes to demonstrate the concept. In this question, we are going to deal with the final keyword. So the description is given. We need to create classes called shape, circle and rectangle, and we need to use the final keyword to make specific methods within these classes immutable. Also, we need to implement a final class to prevent inheritance. So these are all the tasks which are given to us to perform. So there is no particular input format for this question. We just need to demonstrate how the final keyword works. So the output format is display details about shape, circle, rectangle while highlighting the immutability of final methods. We need to show attempts to inherit from a final class. So there are 3 tasks given to us. First task is demonstrate the immutability of final methods by attempting to override them in subclasses of circle and rectangle. So simply saying we have one parent class and we are going to declare the method in the parent class as final. And now we are going to declare child classes to that parent class, and we will try to override those methods. And when we try to override those methods and if we compile the file, we will get errors. So that we need to demonstrate. That is about the first task. So this is the first task. And the second task we have is showcase the inability to extend a final class by creating an attempted subclass of a final class and observe the compilation errors. So in the second class, we are going to make the class itself as final, and whenever class becomes final, inheritance concept won't work. That means we cannot extend that particular class. So that is the second task. And the third task is we need to instantiate objects of circle and rectangle classes. So we have to create objects and showcase their characteristics and behavior involving final methods. Simple. So let me quickly recap what is this final keyword. So final keyword, how do we use it in Java? So we will directly write final keyword before variables, methods or even classes. So we'll just write the final keyword before the names of all these 3 and we can directly make them final. So basically whenever we declare something as final, that means it will become constant and we cannot change it further, right? So this is about basic concept of final keyword. Now let's quickly dive into the code. I will create a Java file named shapes. So shapes, and inside this public class shapes, we will be having the main method. So now it's time for us to create a class called shape. So you can see here I have written shape as a normal class and the shapes is the main class. This shape will be having a method. So what is the first task? We will demonstrate the immutability of final methods. The first task is to create a final method in the parent class. So final void, so I will write calculate area because this is a shape. So this shape can have a calculate area method. Now I will print here, so let me just print here 0.0. So let it be the default value of area of shape. Now I have declared a final method inside this class. It's time to extend this shape class. So I will create circle class which extends the shape. And what does circle have? It has a radius, right? So I will declare the radius of this circle. So final double radius. So now I'm going to initialize the value of this radius using a constructor. So circle and I will pass inside this radius because this is going to be a parameterized constructor to initialize the value of the variable. So the circle radius is declared using this keyword. Now it's time for us to override the final method present in the parent class. So let us see what will happen if we try to override that method. Overriding means here we have some statement inside this method and we are going to write the same method but we are going to override it. That means we are going to make some changes here. So here I will be passing radius because we need to print the area of circle. So what is area of circle? It's math.pi into radius into radius. Okay, so I have written the same method, which is calculate area, and I tried to override it, and I'm trying to print it. Okay, so here we can already see a red line here because this is a IDE. If we were doing the code in Notepad, we couldn't have seen. You can see here the method calculate area of type circle must override or implement a super type method. So the basic meaning is here we have final here, so we cannot actually override this method because whenever a method is declared as final, it's constant and we cannot change anything in that. Similarly, if we create a rectangle class, so rectangle extends shape. So what does rectangle have? So rectangle has length and width. So final double length, final double width. So these variables also I made final. Now it's time for us to write a constructor for this rectangle. So double length, double width. So what will be happening here? So this keyword to initialize the values of both these variables, width. Yeah. So now I will also override the method calculate area inside the rectangle class also. @override. So void calculate area. So what all we have here? Double length and double. Okay, we don't actually need to pass these here. So now I will print here what is the area of rectangle. So it is length into width, right? So you can see cannot override the final method, cannot override the final method from shape. It is showing, but let us create and see if it's really giving a compilation error to us. So for that, I will need to create objects for circle and rectangle. Let me create one circle, C1, using circle constructor and new keyword. Let me give the radius as 3. Now I'll create a rectangle. Let it be R1 equals new rectangle. Let me give it as some 5 and width as some 4. So I will call the method calculate area for the circle and the calculate area for the rectangle also. Now I will compile and see what is happening. So Java C, page.java. You can see in the compilation step itself, I had got calculate area in circle cannot override calculate area in shape. Why? Because overridden method is final. So the first task is done. While compilation only, we are detecting that this final method cannot be overridden. We cannot override that in the subclasses. The first task is done. Right now it's time for us to do the second task, where we are going to declare the method itself as final. Okay, so I have already written the shape class, right? So I will declare that class as final. Now you can see the red marks here in the shape circle class. The type circle cannot subclass the final class shape. So what is the problem here? I have declared the class itself as final. That means there cannot be any subclass or a child class to that final class. So what can we understand from here? If class is final, we cannot create subclasses to it. Simple. So there will be no inheritance here. So let us again compile and check what is happening. So I will write the same Java C shapes.java. So this is the step for compiling the file. And you can see again here cannot inherit the final, cannot inherit from final shape, cannot inherit from final shape. So both class circle and class rectangle cannot be inherited. So the second task is also done. Now it's time for us to perform the third task, where we instantiate the objects of circle and rectangle and we will display the properties. Okay, so let me remove all the final keyword from the shape. And I will remove these methods also here. So let me just comment this out. So I use the control plus slash. This works in VS Code, Visual Studio Code. Okay. I'll also remove these things. Now I will create methods called display info in the circle as well as rectangle. So void display info. So I will just print out radius. Okay. I'll print out the radius of circle. Radius of circle. So it is radius itself. And the same method I'm going to write inside rectangle. So what are we going to print? Length and width of rectangle are plus length plus, then give some space, and then width. Done. So now I will try to call the methods c1.displayInfo and r1.displayInfo. So let me run and check. Java C, shapes.java. It's compiled successfully. Now Java C shapes. You can see the radius of circle is declared, which is 3, and length and width of rectangle are 5 and 4. So it was successful. So now let me also try to make this method as final and also this method as final. And there seems no change and no error, so that works good. So that's it about this video. We had learned about how to make variables, classes and methods as final, and how the final keyword restricts us from performing inheritance or even overriding the methods. So that's it. Stay tuned for the 100 Days of Coding Challenge by VCode. Thank you for watching.